Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Scared Shitless, the horror channel made by horror fans for horror fans. I'm Ryan, and today we are going to be doing a horror franchise tier list. Now, I will just share my screen, and this is a tier list I happen to have already found. I did not create it myself. It is worth pointing out. I found it on Tier Maker. So if you're ever looking for a tier list, it is worth going there. So let's explain it first. S is the best. A, B, C, D, and then F. I got rid of E because E is not a real tier. And then we have not seen, which is pretty self-explanatory, and not horror because I had a wee look through some of these before, and I wouldn't necessarily consider all of them horror movies. There was one in particular that caught my eye that I would say was not horror. Anyway, yeah, as I said, S is the absolute best tier, the peak of horror franchises, and F is a complete fail. Other rankings are everything in between. So let's get started. Now, there are quite a lot of things, a lot of franchises on this list. We may not get through them all. We will have a look. We'll see how we're looking for time. I'm sure you still want to stay all day watching me discuss horror movies, so we'll see how it goes. So let's start with The Exorcist, the first thing on this list. Now, the first Exorcist movie is absolutely outstanding. I would say the first is A tier, undeniably. The sequels are not as good, and I would definitely say bring it down. So as a whole, I would put the franchise on C tier. But the first one is certainly much better than that. The Thing, so there's, I mean, if we're going by the John Carpenter one, there's only two films. The first is potentially S tier. It is phenomenal. One of the best horror movies ever made. The prequel to it, not as good, but it was still enjoyable. So I would put The Thing A tier personally. You don't need to watch the prequel to it, but you should definitely check out the 1980 whatever year it was one. Silent Night, Deadly Night. I actually have not seen that. So Resident Evil, I have seen. Is it horror? Should that be the first one in the not horror ranking? I don't know. Let's pretend. Let's say it is horror. I mean, there's definitely horror elements to it, undeniably. But I think I would go D tier. It's not quite F because there is some enjoyment to be had in these films. F is complete fail, and I don't think it is complete fail. But they're not good. The Fly. I have only seen the original Fly movie. I'm not sure how many there are. I didn't know it was a franchise. I thought it was one single film. Because of that, I suppose I'll rank it just on the first movie. So I'll put it in C tier, just from the first movie. I mean, it's not anywhere near as good as the first Exorcist film, but I have seen the Exorcist sequels and they're not that great. The Fly was good, good enough. I haven't seen the rest, so I don't know where to put it other than that. Candyman, I have seen the originals. I have not seen the new Candyman that has just been released. I really like the first Candyman film. Tony Todd's performance in Candyman is outstanding. The rest of the film is not as good as he is. I have seen the sequels to that original as well. The Candyman's backstory is pretty cool. I would give it a C tier. I think there might be quite a lot on this C tier from the looks of it. The Howling, the first Howling film is good. The sequels are not good. I have seen them. They're not great. So I'm going to go with D tier because again, the first one's good and there is some fun to be had. The Human Centipede, that's a D tier. I have seen the first two. I don't know how many there are, but realistically, there's not much need for these films other than them being a bit unpleasant. Lake Placid. I have seen the first Lake Placid. And I haven't seen, no, I've seen Lake Placid versus Anaconda as well. It's definitely D tier. There is fun to be had in these films, so it's not an F, but they're not good movies. Let's do Friday the 13th. This is a hard one. Potentially, I mean, I would go as far to say the franchise for Friday the 13th is more than the sum of its parts. So the franchise itself is actually better than the individual movies. Jason is a legend. Some of the movies are great. Some of them are not. I'm going to give it an A tier. Yeah, I'm going to give it an A tier. I don't think I could give it an S tier. But Jason is iconic. I think he has the highest kill count of any movie killer. Yeah, I definitely couldn't give it less than that. Scary movie, not horror. So that's the one I was talking about. That is most definitely not horror. Terror Toons, not seen. The Evil Dead, A tier. I love the Evil Dead. I love the original. I love the Evil Dead 2. Gets really crazy in Army of Darkness. I enjoyed the reboot. I have not actually watched Ash versus the Evil Dead, but I would imagine it is very fun. Yeah, A tier. Hostel. Hostel. I've only seen Hostel and Hostel 2. I have not seen Hostel 3. However, I really enjoy them. They're disgusting, very gore heavy, but they kind of have a commentary on tourists not being careful and kind of a commentary on class as well. It's quite interesting, and I like Eli Roth's direction. I think he has some interesting ideas. So I'm going to give Hostel a B tier. From the first two. Whether it deserves that or not, let me know what you think in the comments. Where would you put Hostel? I mean, I'm sure this has been controversial as is. We'll see what you have to say about it. Final Destination, I'll see that. I'm going to give Final Destination an A tier. The last Final Destination film wasn't amazing. The acting was a bit questionable, but the other films are very good. The concept is phenomenal, and the kills in this franchise are really interesting. I think it's very, very good. The Omen, from the eternal sea he rises, creating armies on either shore, turning man against his brother until man exists no more. As we all know, The Omen is the story of Damien, the Antichrist, and I feel the movies aren't actually that great. The story is better than the movies themselves, I'm going to give it C tier. Because all the movies are okay. None of them are fantastic. And if I was rating them all separately, they would probably all go in the C tier. So it makes sense that the franchise as a whole goes in the C tier. Lost Boys, I have only seen the original. I really like the original. Kiefer Sutherland is very good in it. The soundtrack's good. It's got Bill from Bill and Ted in it. Yeah, I like the original. I did not know it was a franchise. I know. I did know. I just haven't seen the others. But so I'm going to rate it just off the first one. I'll give it a C tier as well. Yeah, I think that's probably fair. Critters, D tier. It's fine. You can watch it. There's enjoyment to be had. It's not worse than D tier. Don't think it's better than D tier. Okay, this S tier is looking a bit empty. So we're going to go and we're going to get our first S tier, and it is A Nightmare on Elm Street. Yeah, not all the movies are amazing. Much like Friday the 13th, A Nightmare on Elm Street is better than the sum of its parts. I think it's phenomenal. Freddy Krueger is a horror legend. He has properly worked his way into mainstream knowledge. Even non-horror fans know Freddy. Robert Englund is phenomenal in the character as the character. I think he's great. And I remember watching these movies as a kid, and they're part of the reason I love horror. Genuinely fell in love with these films. So yeah, I'm gonna go with that. Evil Bong, I actually have not seen, so let's put that right there. Wishmaster, I really like the first one. The second and third one are really bad. I'm gonna put it in the D tier purely because the first one is good enough that it doesn't get an F. Scanners. Again, the first one was good. Quality drops massively after that. It's another D tier. I'm feeling like D tier is going to be pretty heavily packed out here. Child's Play, that's an A tier. I really like Child's Play. Then the films get a bit more campy with Bride of Chucky and Seed of Chucky, but they're good fun. And who isn't at least a little bit creeped out by a killer doll? The Amityville Horror. Okay, this is actually going to be our first F tier. The first Amityville film is good. I haven't seen the remake, but there are so many, and so many of them are bad, that if I was only rating the first one, it would probably be a C tier movie. But with there being so many bad installments, I'm got to give it an F. Alien, that is an A tier or a B tier. I don't know. Alien is outstanding. Alien, maybe a S tier movie. Aliens isn't as horror, it's more action, but it's still a phenomenal film, potentially S tier as well. Alien 3 drop. Well, I'm going to give it an A tier, because if it's got two S tiers, then it progressively gets worse. Alien 3, Alien Resurrection, not as good. Prometheus, not as good. I'm giving it an A tier, and I'm sticking with it, or we'll be here forever. Hellraiser. Okay, so the first three Hellraiser films are good, fun. The first one's probably an A tier. Second and third might be B or C, but then the sequels take it down further than that. So I'm gonna have to put it in the D tier, because the fourth film onwards are not good. Scream, okay, we're going to put that up and join Freddy with that one. That is an S tier franchise. Scream 3 is not great, but doesn't take away from the franchise as a whole. I cannot wait for Scream 5. And if you happen to be curious for more on our thoughts on Scream, go check out our long form discussion, a horror retrospective, coming out next Thursday, where we will be discussing the first movie in detail, and then each week the sequels until we've done all the Scream films. AVP, okay, these films aren't good. F tier, they suck. Straight up, they suck really bad. Sharknado, D tier. There's fun to be had in them, but they are by absolutely no means good films. So we've still got quite a few here. So let's try and rattle some off quickly. So Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, D tier. Boogeyman, D tier. Open Water, I have not seen. Ginger Snaps, actually have not seen. I've heard good things. Feast, I didn't not seen all of them, only seen the first one, so I'll put it in the C tier. I Spit on Your Grave, iconic film, very violent, very difficult to watch. I've seen the original, I've seen the remake. That is it. They are, they put a point across well. I'm putting it in the C tier, but I would not recommend the faint-hearted watch these films at all. I would probably look into the films before anyone sits down to watch it. Cloverfield, I wouldn't really call Cloverfield horror. I'd say more science fiction. So let me know if you disagree with me. The Brotherhood, not seen. I Know What You Did Last Summer. Okay, I enjoy these films. I haven't seen the third one, but I enjoy the first and the second. They are nowhere near as good as Scream, from Kevin Williamson as well, around the same time as Scream. It will always be compared to Scream, but they're still fun. I'm going to put them in the B tier. From Dusk Till Dawn, I would say the first film is probably an A tier film. However, the second and third are considerably worse than that. So I will put it in the C tier because they were still fun enough. Children of the Corn. Ooh, I think that's a D tier. Or either I'm going to put it in D. It may be a C. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Blade is vampires, but is it horror? I don't feel like it's horror. But I mean, I suppose we'll rate it as if it were horror. Why not? The first Blade film is an A tier movie. Sequels are not as good. It's going in the C tier. Creepshow, that is a D tier if there ever was one. Demons, actually have not seen. Anaconda, the first one's fun, B tier. After that, they again get worse. That's another D tier. D tier is stocked up. Jaws, the original, is an S tier movie. The sequels are not. Bring it down. So that's going in the B tier. Bashed out a few there quickly. Wrong Turn. I think Wrong Turn's a solid C tier. The films, there's always enjoyment to be had. There's some interesting kills. They're okay. Cabin Fever, I've only seen the first one, and I would say it was a B tier. Realistically, it's probably not a B tier because of the other ones, but I haven't seen them. So Halloween, the first two Halloween films, I would say, are S tier. Halloween 3, I actually think it's a good film, very interesting. I like the I like the concept of the masks and whatnot, and it is the catchiest jingle in the world, which I won't sing, or I will be singing it for the rest of my life. But I like the Rob Zombie remakes. But then at some of the later installments, The Curse of Michael Myers and whatnot, not as good. I'd say it brings it down as a whole, but not too low. I'm still putting it in the B tier. Let me know why I'm wrong. Jeepers Creepers. Only seen the first one. I enjoyed it, but I think it's a solid C tier realistically. I know the maker of that movie is not someone we should give too much credit to about anything, but I can separate the art from the artist if you can. I fully understand that. Okay, Saw. Let's do this one. So Saw, I'd say some of the films are A tier, some are less than that. I think B as a whole, the interesting kills, that's slipped its way in A. Some interesting kills, some it's a good concept. It was original. I still haven't seen Spyro yet. I'll see it at some point. Tremors. Again, first film's really good. They get worse than that. It is camp from the get-go, but it is good fun. I'm putting that in the D tier. Insidious, I would say, is a C tier. Beware the Blob, not seen. So I'm sure that's the Blob. I can't see what this one is. Camp Blood. I don't think I've seen Camp Blood. Phantasm. I've only seen the first Phantasm film. I'll put it in C tier. I may be wrong for that. I've not seen The Hitcher. I don't think I know it's the one with Sean Bean. ABCs of Death. Not seen. Shake, Rattle, Roll. Not seen. Fright Night. Okay. I have seen, but only the original and the remake. I'm gonna go a C tier. I don't know if that's good or not. Ghoulies, D tier. The Hills Have Eyes, D tier. Joyride, not seen. Ju-on, I have seen. That was a C tier. I have not seen all of them though. I've only seen the first one. Reanimator, I've not seen all of the Reanimator films. I've only seen the first one. I think I'll go C tier for it. Creature of the Black Lagoon, I have seen, but frankly, again, only the first one, but it doesn't really hold up. The Ring, C tier. The Return of the Living Dead. I'm just assuming this is the Living Dead franchise as a whole. I'm going to put in D tier because I like Night of the Living Dead. I like Day of the Dead. I like Dawn of the Dead. But there are so many, and zombie movies are overdone. And I'm so bored of them. Perhaps that's just me. Basket Case, D tier. Carrie, right? I love the original Carrie. I would say A tier. The sequel, Carrie the Rage, sucks. I think it bring the whole thing to C tier. I quite like the reboot, and the TV movie was okay. So I think C tier is a fair spot for Carrie. Right, there's still quite a few left. So instead of going through all of them, we'll just go through the main ones from each, or what I consider to be the main ones. So from here, Toxic Avenger, I'm chucking that in D tier. I've only seen the first two. I don't know how many there are, but there's fun to be had. But that's it. Invisible Man. I'm gonna put in C tier because the new one was very good. The original was okay. There's been a lot. Hollow Man in that, I believe, would fall under this category. It's fine. Yeah. Yeah, let's see. Don't Breathe. Don't Breathe. I know they've made a sequel, but I didn't think it was a franchise. But screw it, chuck it in the where I chucked it, the C tier. Let's see. Again, we'll try. Okay, so that was the Living Dead franchise, not the one I've already put. Screw it, it's done. We're pretending the one I put in was the Living Dead franchise, and we're just moving past it. Poltergeist. I think C tier for the franchise as a whole. The first movie is probably a bit better than that. The Purge, D tier, it unfortunately never holds up to its concept. A very cool concept, but none of the movies are actually good enough to make the concept worthwhile. They all kind of waste the concept, in my opinion. Psycho, the first Psycho film is a classic. The sequel is not as good. The remake was not as good. It is a D as a whole. What else do we have? Wreck, the Spanish. I'm not sure if it's Spanish or Mexican. It's Spanish language film. I've seen them. I think they're very good. That's a solid B tier, maybe even A tier. Blair Witch Project. That I really like the first one. The first one's fantastic. The sequel, Book of Shadows, isn't as good, and it doesn't have a book. So why the hell they named it Book of Shadows is anyone's guess. And the remake was okay. I'll give it a B tier as a whole. Silence of the Lambs. Again, I'm going to give a B tier because Silence of the Lambs is definitely an A film, maybe even an S film, but the sequels don't hold up. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I'm going to do the exact same, put it in the C tier for the same reasons as Silence of the Lambs. Predator, B tier. The original Predator is phenomenal. Wouldn't call it horror, but there you have it. But I suppose because it's so connected to the Alien films, it may make sense there. Should probably be in the not horror category though. So Urban Legend, that is I've not seen all of them, but it's a C tier. Again, slasher, 90s slasher, not as good as Scream or as good as I Know What You Did Last Summer. So that is where it goes. Underworld, I think C tier. It's a good fun franchise. I like watching it. Not sure I would call it horror. Jurassic Park, it's not horror. That's going in the not horror category, definitely. Gremlins, not horror. I mean, is Gremlins horror? I don't think Gremlins is horror. Let me know in the comments if Gremlins is a horror film or not. Let's see, are there any big ones I've missed loads, and you could argue that they're all big. I mean, Goosebumps is horror for kids. The Shining is definitely horror. Is it a franchise? There's 2 movies. I feel some of these shouldn't be in the franchise thing. Creep. I believe again there's only 2 movies. The Babysitter. Is it 2 movies? Unfriended. I've only seen the first one. I think we're going to call it there. So that is my list. The important bit are the 2 S tier franchises: A Nightmare on Elm Street and Scream, and I suppose the F tier ones being Alien versus Predator and the Amityville Horror. Let me know what you think of my list. Let me know why I'm wrong. When you tell me where you would put everything. Let me know why I've put your favorite franchise in the complete wrong category, or let me know if you agree with me, as unlikely as that probably is. Yeah, until next time, thanks for joining me. And like any good horror villain, I will be back for one last scare.